Are you a life coach who wants to make a difference in the world? Do you want to share your wisdom, passion, and experience with others? Do you want to grow your business and reach more clients? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need Life Coaching Today. Life Coaching Today is the largest platform on the web for life coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists who want to enhance their visibility, gain exposure, and connect with clients. Life Coaching Today is more than just a directory. It's a network of opportunities. By joining Life Coaching Today, you will get access to a magazine where you can be featured and connect with over 30 million subscribers. Be a guest to our podcasts with over 55,000 subscribers. A directory where you can showcase your profile, services, and testimonials to thousands of potential clients. And that's not all. Life Coaching Today also offers a free 30-minute coaching session on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you can be coached or meet your next client. A flexible pricing plan where you can choose the best option for your budget and goals. A dedicated customer service team where you can get help and guidance whenever you need it. So what are you waiting for? Join Life Coaching Today and take your life coaching career to the next level. Visit www.lifecoachingtoday.com and sign up today. Life Coaching Today, the largest portal on the web connecting coaches, therapists, and hypnotists.
Kiddada, are you there?
All right, everybody, I am back. I am on, and Lord knows, happy Halloween. And I think I've got spooky stuff going on because I cannot, I'm just having all of the wild technical challenges this morning. So I don't know if I'm live on Facebook or not. I hate that I'm not, if I'm not. So sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on with the technology today, but you guys will have to hear me stream me somewhere at some point in time. And I will run this show probably. I'll probably drop it on my Facebook link. But we are happy Halloween. I am Kiddada Asmara Grey, your conflict coach, and I have a very interesting podcast topic for you all today. It is on witches, and not because it's Halloween, it just happened to my podcast, and Halloween actually just kind of landed today together. So I was like, oh, wow, this is fun. So that's cool. But let me just start with the blessings of all blessings. And you guys hear me, you guys will feel me when I say this. Oh my God, I cannot wait until election day is here because I am over it completely. And I know you guys are over it too, with all of the text messages, the phone calls, the commercials. It is driving me nuts. And I even work in the industry and I get driven nuts at this time of the year. I just want to just tell you guys something. As frustrating as it is, I just want to ask you all to please be polite. There's no reason to curse, send very graphic images to the people who are reaching out to you because they want to ensure that you are activated. And that's important, right? We know that's important. We hope that, you know, whatever the outcome is, there's going to be an outcome, no matter what, right? But we don't have to be hostile or whatever. They are just trying to do their jobs. And I'm going to give you a secret. The secret is this, that as soon as you vote, you should get off of the phone call list. However, there's multiple people calling you from different organizations. And good organizations, it probably takes about 24 or 48 hours for you to get off of the list and then the updated list. So the next round of calls, you are out of it. The other thing is that all you have to do is all you have to do is type in and say stop. Literally STOP for text messages. That should opt you out. So, and guess what? Let me just also say, your information is public information in terms of people like me, other political people can go ahead and they can access it every political cycle because you give permission. And if you don't know the do not call list, I don't think that's functional anymore. And political messaging does not fall under the do not call list. So that's giving you all a little bit of an insight today on that. But Lord knows, Jesus, I am over it, over it. Ugh. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say is because there is a political ad that's out stating it's encouraging you to vote, right? Let me say this again. The political ad is encouraging you to vote. However, one of the things that it's saying too is that your family and friends will know how you vote. That is incorrect. Only operatives or political consultants or people who work in the political industry that have access to your voter file, that data can actually see your information. So your husband, your wife, no one, personal friends cannot see how you vote. So that is something for you all to know. I hate that damn commercial. And if I ever run for office, I promise you all, one of my things on my platform is that if you create a political commercial, it has to be truthful. Yeah, I don't see the point in lying. I know why they do it. It's a fear tactic, and a scare tactic, but y'all don't pay attention to that ad. Just go vote, do your civic duty to be in that space. So, whew, Lord, it's been a morning. So the political ads are going to stop soon enough. And stay safe. I feel like we need to talk about safety right now because being in large crowds and we have people doing crazy stuff across the country politically right now. So stay safe. Like I know people are upset, scared. Let's not put all of that energy in the air. And hopefully there's people who will bring down their own challenges, whether it is you want to be a Republican, Democrat, whoever's in office. Here's what's true about at the end of the day. At the end of the day, we're going to have a new president. We may not know who it is. We may not like who it is. But guess what? We're not going to leave in masses to go live somewhere else. That's the truth of the matter. Yeah, that's my political rant for this morning, but I haven't seen you all in a while. I traveled last week, totally lost my voice after I came back. So missed you all last week. Poor Yoruba. I totally forgot. Apologies to my awesome producer that I was just knocked out asleep with Vicks rubbed around my neck and taking Mucinex tabs just so I can be able to talk this week. The other interesting thing, you guys know I have my baby Zora, and y'all, she came back home from doggy daycare. I'm not going to name the daycare center because and she came home with sneezes and she was sneezing a lot and she ended up with kennel cough. Now Zora is my first doggy, so this doggy mommy here was super duper scared and I just didn't know what to do with myself because I thought my baby was I thought she was choking. And so she's actually over here, and now she thinks that she needs attention, which she does not, people. She does not, but she thinks that she does. Hi there, Zora. Yeah, so it's been a scary ride, and it's interesting because people are like, Kiddada, that's normal. Dogs come with, they go to doggy daycare, they get kennel cough or all these like respiratory illnesses. However, I have a problem if I've got to shell out $175 every time. That's not cool because I'm trying to figure out who's responsible for paying for all of. I don't know what's going on. Here I am again. Kiddada Gray, your conflict coach, and I'm having the conflict of the morning, which is fighting with my StreamYards account and everything technical. So, Lord, I need to take a sip of my coffee this morning, and I really shouldn't be drinking coffee, but that's a whole other conversation. But I need a little caffeine. What else is going on in the world? Y'all, I can't keep up. I'm looking for positive news. So if you guys have any positive news stories, please, please, please let me know because it seems like the news is super negative. And no, actually, one of the things that I do, if there's too much negativity in my house coming from the news stations, I turn that off and I watch a show called The Pet Collective. So I can watch all the doggies and the kitty cats and the turtles have fun. And that brings me down. So I hope you guys are actually practicing that as well, the ability to be brought down in the space of the political shenanigan space. Because it's a lot, y'all. It is a lot. Yoruba, my awesome producer. I'm gonna say, let's go ahead and prep to go and bring on our wonderful guest. And so just to give you guys a heads up, I have Kathleen Gonzalez on with us this morning, and she's a Celtic witch. And that's going to be interesting. Then I have a friend of mine, Helena Dominique, and she is her title literally is HWIC for the head witch in charge because she is, how do I want to say? She was the head witch in charge of the largest coven of witches, right? And so I am super excited to have them on because I don't think people believe that witches are real, right? I think we glamorize and Halloween means witches and that's it. But did you all know Wiccan, Wiccan, I think I spelled that correctly, is the number one trending religion per se, if you think it's religion. And some will just say it's an identity. And so that's why we're going to speak with both of these awesome women today, and talk about what do we think this is? What is it? What does it look like to be a witch? What does it mean to be a witch? And so we're going to have Witch 101 today, and just curiosity. And I'm sure I'm going to have them back because I do think that we don't have enough time today to talk about, Wicca and Wiccan and versus Christianity and things like that. But I will say this, that in the United States alone, between 1 and 1.5 million people identify as a witch, and that was a study was done about that. So I think that's really interesting. As someone likes data, the social scientist in me is like, wait a minute, someone paid for that study. So there's actually people out here studying witches, which I love. And so we're going to get to the heart of it. And Yoruba, if you'd like, you can go on and go to a break, and we're going to bring on these awesome chicas, and we're going to learn about witches.
Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada Asmara.
Hey y'all, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Let's see. Good morning, ladies. Thank you for being on with me this morning. Welcome to Live Coaching Today Presents. I can't hear you guys. I know you guys are saying good morning. So welcome to the Live Coaching Today Presents show and family. I know it's super early. I haven't even been able to drink all my coffee yet this morning because I've been running around trying to fix this crazy phone challenges, computer challenges this morning. So hello, Helena. How are you, sister? How are you?
I am good. How are you? I
I
haven't
am
had
good.
any coffee yet, so I apologize in advance if I do or say something crazy.
No, we're here for the crazy. We're here for the crazy. Dora, you're not getting, go lay down, doggy. The doggy thinks she wants to go party outside and she can't do that right now. Good morning, Kathleen. How are you? Oh, I think you're muted. We are still doing we are muted this morning. Oh, I think I hear you, Kathleen. How are you? Still, we can't hear you.
Try now.
Oh, I can't hear you. Okay, well, we have a little technical difficulty. If you'd like, Yoruba, can you see if you can reach out and help her and be of assistance? So as we wait for Kathleen, Helena, how are you feeling, y'all? Helena has been sick.
Well, not sick.
Okay,
I had a
I was
spinal
giving the light.
injury over the
I was
summer.
I was trying to give you the light version of the word.
Okay, yeah, that's probably the short version is best.
Yes.
Um, let's just say I'm still working on my physical therapy and getting better, and it is a process, and it will be what it is.
Yes. All right. Awesome. We love that. We're still waiting for Kathleen. I don't think. So I think we're still waiting for Kathleen to join us, but that's okay. So, like I said to my audience this morning, welcome if you're joining me again after break. And I just want to let you all know that there was a study done, and there's about 1.5 million people in the United States that identify as witches. So that means more than likely you know a witch or two, male or female. And I think that we all have this identity. We think that witches look a particular way, but apparently witches come in all shapes and sizes. And I can say I know a few witches, and have accepted it, and they're not like mean people, I don't think, um, or doing anything hostile or harmful to people. But Helena, I'm going to have you tell us, how and when did you know that you were a witch, or did you just decide that you were a witch?
Hmm. Um, I think it's always been there. But one of the
Okay.
things they say about Wicca, which is the type of witchcraft I practice, is it's a religion without converts. It's one of those things where people just
Mm.
kind of realize, oh, that's me. That's who I've always been. And for me, that happened, weirdly enough, when I was in college a very
Mm.
long time ago. My dad brought home this book from the library called Witches by Erica Jong, and it was this beautiful large coffee table book. And it had all of these beautiful illustrations and information and poetry about witches that Erica Jong had written. And she kept talking about this other book, Drawing Down the Moon. And I thought, well, that sounds like that's a real thing. And I went back to college and I found the book. And it was basically like a big ethnographic study of witches, talking to people of all different kinds. There's so many different kinds that
Yeah.
are out there. But I recognized myself in the things that were kind of universal in the practice. So that would have been around 1985.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know. So first of all, I love Erica Jong. If I have not heard that name in forever, right? Like, I
Mhm.
don't, is she
Yeah,
still alive? I wonder if she's still
I
alive.
don't know, honestly.
Prolific writer,
Mhm,
and wrote on so many different topics, but really social and
mhm,
psychological studies on so many things, but really also really pertaining a lot to women. So you
mhm,
mentioned something, Helena, about Wicca as
mhm,
the type of um, witchcraft or religion per
mhm,
se. Please correct
mhm.
my language,
Oh,
as we're all going to learn today the language. What is that? What is that
so well,
particularly?
yeah, so not all witches are the same. And Wicca is a particular subset that was, um, I don't know, some people say he invented it, some people say he was rediscovering it. I'm not gonna get into that argument, but
Wait,
in the
wait, wait, wait.
19
When you say who is he?
I'm getting there.
Oh,
His
okay. I was
name,
like, who is
that's
he?
okay. Yeah,
All right.
Gerald Gardner, in the 1940s and 1950s in England, says that he came across a group of witches practicing witchcraft in the New Forest section of England,
Mm,
and he became one himself, and he wrote several books about it, and he launched what is now known as the Gardnerian tradition of witchcraft, which I am not a Gardnerian witch, but you have to give credit
okay.
where credit's due and where
That's right.
we kind of come from. And it's interesting. So he initiated a lot of people who in turn
Mm,
initiated a lot of people. And eventually it made its way to the United States. And it kind of changed once it got there because it came to California and took on a more ecological sort of bent of caring for the earth, which, is a very big thing for all of us now. And
right.
sometimes a more feminist bent, a
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
political bent, of women being empowered by this. Um,
Hmm.
so that's just one particular pathway. The type of Wicca I practice is called eclectic, which means we draw in a lot of practices from many different places. So, for instance, I really love Kabbalah and tarot. And so those
Hmm.
are things I bring into my practice. And I also love the Celts and their practices, their ancient gods and goddesses. And I also love the Egyptians, so it is eclectic. I'm kind of taking things from different places and incorporating them into my practice. But yeah, there's so many.
Oh
You could have
man.
a show
Yeah.
on just that. Mhm.
Yeah, I think that thank you for that description because I probably think that historically, right? I think that we're
Mhm.
all taught about, like in the United States, like the Salem witch trials, which I just want to
Mhm.
tell you all, to correct history, no one was burned. That was a lie. Sometimes we write history to glamorize it and make it more fun and fancy for people. But the truth is, no one was burned in Salem. A lot of people were hung, but we also know historically, just like around the world, that um, people were deemed quote unquote witches if they didn't practice a certain religion, which the Protestant religion was one, the Catholic religion was another. I mean, we can go back in history and see like 1800, 1700. People were just like, you would accuse anybody of being a witch if you were just not of you just weren't homogeneous with everyone else, meaning that you weren't alike everyone else. Sameness was a thing. So that idea of being different allowed a lot of people to accuse, whether young or old, especially a lot of women, to being witches. So from a historical perspective, witches have been around, whether falsely accused or real. That is a real thing. And so, Helena, so let me ask you something,
Mhm.
because I think that, we think about, I think about witches and I think about spells, right?
Mhm.
And so what does that, are you, are there bad spells?
Mm.
What is this thing with the spells, right? Is that something just magical for TV?
Well,
Or is that real?
yeah, so the things you see on TV, of course, are exaggerated.
Yeah.
I wish I could do half the things they do on TV. Um, but, one of the things that I think is cool about witchcraft and that, brought me in on it was the idea that, through your thoughts and actions, you can shape reality. And,
Mm,
so it's not unlike, a lot doing affirmations, helps you get yourself out there and, for
right.
whatever it is that you need. So it's in that way, it's not unlike that. With spells, you might incorporate incense, you might incorporate candles of a certain color, because you're trying to kind of set the stage for whatever your intention is. And some
Okay.
people like a lot of, I call them smells and bells, where you need
Mm,
a lot of trappings and props and things. But I also always tell people you're your own most important tool.
mm,
You have the power within you. You don't have to go out and spend a ton of money in order to be able to do a spell or, do anything that you need to
yeah.
do magically. Now, yes, there are bad spells. Or bad spells. Basically, the tradition in which I was taught is uh, anything that tries to manipulate another person, to try to
Mm,
change another person's will is
right.
considered bad, or
Bad.
baneful is another word that people use. And under that definition, that includes things like love spells. If you're trying to get a specific person, that
Mm,
then you're trying to manipulate their will.
oh,
So when we talk about love spells, it's more about attracting a kind of person that you want, but you don't try to manipulate another's will to do what you want.
right. Okay, so you just went into what I would deem a little bit of dangerous territory there. Um,
Mm. Okay.
As everybody, because I always see that, right? Like, so I'm not
Mhm.
gonna lie, y'all. Like, I am literally in some witch groups, which I'm not gonna name on Facebook, but you can go ahead and see them, join them
There's
if
hundreds.
you like. There's hundreds of them, right? But I think it's okay to join for curiosity. I don't think it's okay to join if you want to be hateful in those spaces. And then guess what? I don't know what all those witches might do to you if you want to be hateful in those groups. So just a warning. But I will say this though, that the idea of a love spell, right? I think that is maybe the predominant spell that most
Mhm.
witches are asked for. And so the idea, like, oh, I want you to do some magic, right? Because a spell is
Mhm.
essentially magic. And so I want you to do this to attract someone. Or what I have learned is that there's like removal spells where,
Mhm.
listen, I don't know if men get into this as much as women, but I see a lot of women saying, hey, I want that man over there. So, but I need to remove his wife, or I need to
Mhm.
remove his girlfriend, or whatever. And so it sounds like you're saying don't do that. Like you don't practice that type of
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah, there are people that do. I mean, obviously, you're seeing them in those groups, but
Yeah.
the way I was taught, we don't try to influence another person's will. That's really important. Yeah, and I would say Wiccans in particular, we have it's very broad. It covers a lot of ground, but we have something we call the threefold law, which is
Mm-hmm.
whatever you send out to the universe comes back to you threefold. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
out there trying to steal somebody's partner, or you're trying to make somebody lose their job or whatever, that expect that energy to come back to you. Because and I think
Oh,
if you believe in karma, that that's
right.
absolutely true. Mhm.
Right, right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's really interesting, the prevalence. I mean, listen, y'all, I know we all want to be loved.
Mhm.
I know we can see someone who's the object of our affection, and
Mhm.
sometimes we have to say no. That's okay. I can't have that
Mhm.
person, right? Or let it, I like the idea of free will, because we do have free will. We do have the
Mhm.
choice. And I don't know if I want to force someone to love me, right? That's just
Mhm.
a weird kind of concept. But people do it. People do it. And no judgment there. Yeah, okay, I lied just now. Yeah, a little bit of judgment there. A little bit of judgment. I'm not gonna lie. So, Helena, I understand that your title is HWIC, which I love,
Mhm.
standing for the head witch in charge. So please, please tell me, how did you get that title? What does that mean?
Okay, so typically in a Wiccan coven, you would have a high priestess, and you get to be a high priestess by going through usually a series of initiations. At each one, you're given more information and more responsibility, and then
Okay.
it's at the third degree that you become a high priestess. And the group that I was trained in followed that model. But it was very hierarchical. And I decided that I really am not into that kind of hierarchy, and formed a group of my own.
Mm-hmm.
And that title is kind of, a little bit funny and a little bit jokey, but it was basically my way of saying, you know, any one of you can be head witch in charge at any time. But they were like, well, we want you to be, because you've got the knowledge and the
Mm-hmm.
experience. And I was like, well, I'll do that. But understand that, in time you might get to be head witch in charge,
Right.
because I think it's a more empowering model to do things that way. And there's a lot of things about traditional Wicca that I think are not, it depends on your person, your personality. But for me, the hierarchy was just people keeping secrets, people not sharing information maybe with other
Okay.
people. And I'm all about, let's get everybody on the same page. Let's all have the same information so that we can all
Right.
do this. And,
Right.
so that's and also, if people, you get to choose your own level of involvement. Like if you aren't able to come to every single thing that we do, or you don't want to ever be a head witch in charge, you don't have to. It takes the pressure off.
So that's interesting. I'm literally over here thinking that in something that is so organic, because it sounds very
Mhm,
organic to me, right? That
mhm,
we introduce this hierarchical system. It's
mhm.
almost like a governmental system. And so that's interesting, because even in that space, people are withholding. And the conflict of
Mhm,
that is, well, obviously someone's left out. You're using
mhm,
your power in a way
mhm,
um, that can be harmful to others, even though you're trying to do good. I'm going to assume that everyone was doing good, but withholding power is not a good action. It's actually a harmful action.
mhm,
So that, just to think about the hierarchy inside of this, is interesting to me. And I don't know if that means that we are all, like, as human beings, no matter what religion we study, whatever practices, that we all need structure. That's the thing that
mhm,
comes to mind.
mhm,
Like, there's a
mhm,
structure, and you were like, no, 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 no. I want more of a flat kind of organizational structure where we all know, we can all grow, we all share information. So that's a buy-in. And
mhm,
y'all, that concept for everyone, because this is a show that we always talk about conflict and how to give you skills. Just knowing that helps you navigate your work life, your
Mhm,
work
mhm.
experiences, the government, how do things work. So I like that. And thank you for explaining that. I will say I am a little confused because since this is 101, tell me what a coven is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
So
what's a
a
coven?
coven is a group of people who've come together for the purpose of practicing Wicca or witchcraft.
Uh-huh.
And I would say the types of things we do a variety of things.
Okay.
Um, like I offer classes, both
Mm-hmm.
for the coven and for people outside. We celebrate something called the Wheel of the Year, which is 8 holidays. It includes the equinoxes, the solstices, and then what we're celebrating today is in the Celts called it Samhain, um,
Okay.
which is spelled weird. Gaelic is very strange. It's spelled
Yeah.
Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain.
Mm-hmm.
And it sits across the wheel from another holiday on May 1st called Beltane, and they're both considered to be times when the veil is thin. So at Samhain, we try to communicate with our ancestors, and at
Okay.
Beltane, we might be trying to communicate with the Fae or the fairy realm. And then there's also two other ones, Brigid, which is for the goddess Brigid, and Lughnasadh, which celebrates the mother of the god Lu. So that's in a nutshell, that's our 8 holidays. So that's the kind of thing we do. And if a member is having issues with, I don't know, health problems or healing, we come together and, try to send them energy for healing. There's a variety of things that we do, and we're a group of friends,
Okay.
friends that are there for life, it's kind of beautiful.
So I like that. And my mind went to, you said celebrating our ancestors, right? And that's a
Mhm.
very I find that only, how do I want to say this? It's almost only ethnic people
Mhm.
celebrate ancestors. So
Mhm.
it's not like, and y'all can be mad at me if you want to, but we're not talking about white Protestants. We're
Yeah.
literally talking about, so not white Protestants from England. They don't seem
Mhm.
to understand that they have ancestors and they came from somewhere. But it
Right.
literally is like, I'm going to say it this way, white ethnic groups of people. So the Irish, the Vikings, if you have Viking ancestry, you mentioned the Egyptians, which is very interesting because in a lot of practices, whether it's meditation, um, it's very rare that we ever talk about African practices
Mhm.
instead
Mhm.
of all of these other practices, right? Whether it's
Mhm.
Buddhism, it seems like we have normalized and accepted certain practices, but we've left out African practices, which I
Mhm.
find very fascinating and interesting that there's a
Mhm.
silent piece to that. So I love the fact that you said
Mhm.
that. And so I have to ask you, what is your favorite spell?
Mm. Hmm. That's nobody's ever asked me that,
Oh,
interestingly.
yay! It's my job to ask.
Yeah, I don't know. That's really interesting. Trying to think.
There
Um,
has to be something that brings. I mean, I would assume that you're practicing everything that brings you joy,
yeah,
right? So,
yeah, I
what is
think,
it that lights you up?
I like doing spells that incorporate art because I am an artist
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
And so, I have to say, doing a spell is different every single time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really, so I think that's why I was thrown a little bit when you said, what's your favorite spell? Because you can go out and you can buy a book about spells that will tell you
Hmm.
how to do spells and, follow these steps and do these things. But I think the greatest spells are the ones that we come up with on our own that come from the heart. Um,
Okay.
so that it, to me is really, important, but there's a spell that I've done multiple times, and it works, which is, and I like doing this because it brings other people joy.
Yeah.
If everybody once in a while has a pet that gets out of the house and runs away and you don't know where they are. And so I've done this for a couple of friends where I will make a drawing of the pet. And I
Mhm.
always ask the person, in your house, what's your pet's favorite place to go to? And so I
Okay.
do a drawing of the animal in that space. And then as I'm doing it, I'm singing to the animal and singing, come back home. This is your favorite place. Your
Oh,
people want you. Your people miss you, and that works really well for me and for the people that I've done it for. So if
oh
I have
wow.
a favorite, maybe that's it. But yeah, anytime I can incorporate art into what I'm doing, it's something that I love.
I like that. Okay, so I like that. So I don't believe in chasing dogs. So I promise you, you might get a call one day if Zora
Okay.
ever gets out the house, and because I don't believe in chasing dogs. So I, sidebar. I love. That's funny. I okay. So I have a question. So thank you for telling me what's your favorite spell. And y'all, I have to say that Kathleen is having trouble getting on the show, so we're gonna have to wait till next time to help her and get her on. Everyone's having technology challenges today. I want to know, Helena, if you're walking down the street, can you identify a witch?
Oh, well, there's the people that are, some of us are more obvious than others.
Okay.
But it goes beyond a fashion sensibility, where if I see a girl all dressed in black and she's got, black lipstick on and stuff, she could be a witch. She might just be a goth. I don't know.
Right. Right.
We look pretty much like everybody else, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
There might be, maybe a tell in that person's energy. I don't know
Okay.
how to kind of describe that in regular terms, but there, might be maybe we'll smile at each other and just kind of feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of people that are witches that don't know it, that maybe they're
Okay.
really good at manifesting things and
Mm-hmm.
they're not aware that that's what they're doing, or
Mm-hmm.
they, they're just not acknowledging that part of themselves. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some people are just natural witches, which means they can manifest very, very easily.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that so can anyone become a witch? Because is it
Mhm.
can I just decide I'm going to become a witch today? Like,
Yes,
in that
absolutely.
a thing?
I mean, there
Okay.
are some people, if you go on Facebook groups, a lot of people like to fight about things, and there was a big
Yeah.
thing recently about witch blood. If you can only be a witch if you have witch blood. Well, what does that mean? Exactly. And I think, maybe you do have it in your blood, but I also think that to ask that of somebody is not really fair, because I feel at this point in human history, we are in a place where humans um, are descended from everybody. Let's face
Right.
it, we're
Right.
all at this moment in human history related to each other,
Yeah.
so I think the potential is there for everybody. And I think trying to base something off of, I don't know, genetics, then you start getting into it could be a little racist. So I think, everybody can be a witch if they choose to be.
So wait a minute. It's so much. My mind is just going and going and going. And it's going and it's kind of searching for the words to say, to put the sentences together, because not only do I hear the identity, right? Like, so we always fight about identity. We always want to be, someone always wants to be at the top
Mhm.
of something, right?
Yeah.
So I hear when we're talking about, okay, this idea of having witch blood, right? The authenticity of being a witch, I mean,
Mhm.
how many of us have heard that in other spaces, right? So
Mhm.
now we're talking about power. We're talking about all of that type of crazy type of energy. And then not only that, but then you're introducing racism to it. Like,
Mhm.
how can being a witch be
Mm.
racist? Please explain.
I personally think a real witch would not be racist. But there are
Okay.
people who are like, because like I mentioned, I really enjoy the Celts and I enjoy the Egyptians and I like the
Hmm.
Vikings or the Norse, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm kind of all over the place in the gods and goddesses that I really enjoy. But there are people who say things like, well, if you're not genetically Celtic, you can't worship the Celts. Or if you
Mm.
are not genetically, you know, Germanic, you can't be, um, or Scandinavian or whatever, you can't worship Norse gods. And I just think that's patently untrue. I also think that the gods choose whom they will. I happen to know of a
Yeah.
Norse group in West Philly that is made up of Black members, you know, so
Mm.
I think that that's so interesting to me. And I actually asked, um, there's in African practices, we have the Yoruba, and,
Right.
I knew
Right.
a Yoruban priestess, and I said to her, "You know, it's so interesting because 'cause I'm also attracted to a lot of, African practices," and I told her, you know, "I think this is so interesting. I'm very interested in African practices, and I know this Norse group in Philly, and what do you think is going on?" And she said, "I think our ancestors are mad at us, so they're mixing us up and putting us in places where we
Ooh.
wouldn't be otherwise," and I thought, "That's really interesting."
That is interesting. Kind of like trying to equalize everything to get
Mhm.
back to the normal. Now,
Yeah.
do you as a practicing witch, as a
Mhm.
witch, not even practicing, you are a witch, right? And so, do you believe in God? Do
Yeah,
you
I
believe in
believe
what is Christianity, God, that kind of thing? Do you believe in that as well?
I'm a polytheist, so
Okay.
I believe in a lot
Tell
of
us
God.
what that means. Tell
Yeah,
tell our audience what that means.
so polytheist is poly means many, theist means gods. So, it's the you know, basically in the ancient world, that's what everybody was until monotheism,
Mhm.
you know,
Right.
became the dominant religion. So, and what that means for me is, I do believe that there is source, like everything goes to source eventually. But source is very undefined and filled with everything. And so,
Hmm.
and this actually is kind of gets into Yoruban beliefs because they also have like a big creator god who
Yeah.
is in charge of everything, but is kind of considered too far off. And so the Yoruba have a whole subset of like demigods that they worship
Mhm.
called the Orisha.
Mhm.
And so I
Right.
kind of see it similarly that let's say you're praying to a mother goddess, mother energy, and you decide you want to go with ice. Your Isis is going to be your mother goddess. And so that energy from source comes down and is like, oh, there's somebody that needs help. I'm going to put on my ISIS dress today and help this person. So
Mm.
that's how I kind of see it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Wait, you said ISIS dress. There's particular outfits
No,
for
no, I
certain
just
things?
meant that like,
Oh, okay. I was
yeah,
like, wait a minute.
no, that's she's taking that identity. Shuts that.
That identity. Okay.
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
humans that created all those subsets of things,
That's
you
true.
know, so but, so I really believe deity can't necessarily neatly fit into that, but there are parts of it that can come out and embody it.
Are there for the listening public, are there like basic things that everyone can do to kind of garner their own personal witch energy, or what
Mm.
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say, coming from the empowerment kind of standpoint of, know that you have within you the ability to manifest whatever you want and that
Mhm.
you can some universal things that attracted me to witchcraft was that notion, and the notion that there's an acknowledgement that there's an unseen world beyond this one, and
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
where we get a lot of our magic. Although I also believe that there's a lot of magic in the natural world as well, on this earth plane. Um, and the idea that there are, where am I going? Yes, what really attracted me especially was that you could be sorry, I'm starting a class at 8 o'clock, and I'm
Yep,
giving
I know, I know.
I'm deputizing one of my students as we speak to run the class for me until I get there. I'm just trying to remember how to do
We're
that.
sharing power, people. We're sharing
Yes,
power.
exactly.
That doesn't mean that you cannot, and that doesn't mean you're not powerful if you share power. I always tell people
Right.
share power. That is one of the greatest skills and gifts you can give to
Yeah,
yourself. Not to
yes,
the other person, but to yourself. If you can learn how to share power, that is
definitely.
a thing that is amazing.
Yes.
So I know you're getting ready for class. I'm going to say this Halloween, people need to, I mean, I don't even see in my neighborhood. I have last year, I didn't see any children. I haven't seen children for years
Okay.
because people have always, I think the churches have kind of taken over like these Halloween things, but they've
Mhm.
tried to make it in terms of a spiritual thing and not the negative space. So, where do you think that the idea of witchcraft and practicing witchcraft became so polarizing that it
Mhm.
became a negative thing? Like people see that as harmful. Where does that, because
I
I feel
think
like God gave us gifts. If we
yeah.
all have gifts, why are we challenged by that?
I think that goes back to, a very narrow definition of what it's okay to be, and
Mhm.
um, the word witch has had such negative connotations because we have, King James of the King James Bible to thank for saying, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." I mean, that was the whole basis in Europe for the witchcraft persecutions, you know,
Right.
and for people that they did burn people at the stake in Europe,
Yeah,
not here,
they
but they
definitely did
did
that.
in
Yeah.
Europe, yeah, and I think that that idea really took off. I think, unfortunately, in the human consciousness, there's always a thing of us versus them. And so it's really easy for people to go there rather than think,
Mhm.
well, so this person is a midwife, which oftentimes the women who would get burned were women who were midwives or old women or beautiful women. And I think that it became a really easy way to scapegoat people. And that we have also from the burning times, as we call them,
Yeah.
the German guys who wrote the Malleus Maleficarum, which was supposed to be the guidebook on how to recognize witches and how to kill them. And I think that just got caught up in that kind of hysteria of that time, and it's never left, unfortunately. And I think there's always going to be people who think, well, sure, she's on there and she's saying, oh, we're nice, witches are good and this and that, but I don't believe her because, it says so over here that, they're bad. And I think people just have to learn to do their own research and think for themselves.
I like that. Yeah, my mind is so blown. We have to have Witch 102.
Okay,
We're gonna have to do that one day.
I'll
And
be happy.
I know you need to go teach a class, so I'm gonna say thank you, Helena,
Thank you.
for joining me and my audience on Life Coaching Today Presents. Go have an awesome class and happy
Thank you.
Halloween to everyone. And we are going to wrap. And stay safe this Halloween, y'all. And don't scare the little babies. Don't scare the children. And give out really big sized candy bars. That's what we want. That's what we want. So thank you
Thank
and
you.
have a good
See you
day,
soon. You
everyone.
too.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada Grey and produced by Aruba Saad. Our mission at Life Coaching Today is to empower your health, business, community, and life. Check us out at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network would like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and spread awesome.